Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video. Well, apparently my 27 male girlfriend of 5 months, 30 female is happily married with 2 children. I met this wonderful lady in a pub 5 months ago. I ordered drinks for her and her pals and started up a discussion with her. We clicked right away, and I brought her home that night for some mind-blowing. She didn't spend the night, though, claiming that she needed to get up early for work. We had a fantastic connection for the following 5 months. We had at least 3 times a week and went on lovely dates. She only remained the night on rare occasions, but I didn't think much of it since she did have to get up early. When I suggested that we live together, she claimed she wasn't ready for that yet. Understandable. We did hang out at her apartment a few times, but it was really unusual, just like her spending the night. I simply put it up to her feeling more at ease at my place since it was cozier. It was stupid of me not to wonder why an obviously single lady lived in such a large mansion. I have Facebook, but I never use it or any other social networking platform. I believe it is a waste of time, and she has said that she does not use it either. So, last week, I decided to play around on Facebook for a while and came across her page since we had 2 common friends, really just acquaintances for me. This is when things start to get strange. Her name was completely different from what I had previously known her as. She seems to be happily married and has 2 children between the ages of 3 and 6. She uploads a lot of images of herself and her spouse doing various coupley things, so I doubt they're separated or going through a divorce. She has never revealed any of this to me. I quickly realized that I was the other guy, and I honestly felt physically awful knowing it. I have an irrational dislike towards cheaters, and I feel disgusted that I've done this. I feel foolish for not seeing this sooner. Either I'm an idiot or she disguised it well, or both. She never acknowledged being married with children, instead claiming to be single. Even when I went to her residence, I couldn't find any family photos or signs of her relatives. This babe went out of her way to conceal the fact that she was married and had children. I'm getting ill just typing this. I haven't contacted her since I found out, citing the need to concentrate on my career for a while. She was okay with it, and she still sends me nudes and about how excited she is to meet me again. I answered half-heartedly, mainly to keep her from becoming suspicious. I'm feeling nauseated. I'm going to inform her spouse about it. This is really wrong, and it pains me to know that this guy is being duped by his horrible wife. This strikes near to home since my aunt did this to my uncle, who is the nicest guy alive. Fortunately, I have a tendency of not manually deleting any messages, so I still retain the bulk of our texts. I took screenshots of everything so I could show her spouse. I'd want to see him in person, but I'm afraid he'll tell his wife, "Oh, hello, honey. This guy called Other Man Problems asked me to meet him for coffee, and she'll be able to cram some BS down this throat." I figured out where he works through his Facebook, so I'm thinking I'll attempt to grab him soon after he leaves. I want to tell him everything about the affair, including screenshots, and to explain that I had no clue she was married. I'm not sure whether evidence of adultery would assist him, but it seems like the least I can do. I'm still appalled that she could deceive to her family in this way, and I hope she gets what she deserves. Some of you may think he has a fetish or that they have an open relationship or something. What are the odds, really? Besides, if he really had a fetish, I'm sure she would have mentioned it, taken photos/videos of us having to show him, or even had intercourse in his presence. And I'm sure she would have informed me if they were in an open relationship. No, I'm rather certain she's cheating on her spouse. So, what am I to do? Should I attempt to arrange a meeting online? Should I attempt to track him out in person? To those of you who think she should inform him, either you tell him or I will. Hell no. I'm not going to give her the chance to spin some nonsense about how she had an emotional affair with me, a moment of weakness, or whatever. And to those of you who advocate for breaking up with her and just keeping out of it altogether, GTFO. I'm not going to allow her continue to deceive and betray him under the guise of it's no longer my concern. I'm not a jerk, and I'm not going to give her a pass for cheating. Some commenters advised me not to tell him but that. Most of you advised me to go forward with it, but just via email/letter with no actual connection. Even though it was a huge risk, I felt it would be best for me to explain this nonsense to him in person, so I went to see him. I contacted work to let them know I'd be late, and then headed over to his place of business at 7:20 a.m. Then I walked inside and waited in the lobby for him to come, keeping an eye on the door. He came in at 8 a.m., and I approached him right away, telling him by name that I had something important to tell him, and asking if he could meet me after work at a nearby Starbucks. He was confused, but I persuaded him that it was critical and instructed him not to tell anybody. Thankfully, he agreed. So I went to work and went about my business as normal. I was waiting at Starbucks at 5:30 a.m., and he arrived soon after. The discussion then started. I told him that what I was about to say would shatter him, and I asked for a chance to speak my piece without interruption. He agreed, so I told him everything. Everything about how I met his wife, how she used a false identity, the 5-month affair, the extent she took to hide it. For my own protection, I stressed how I had no idea she was married, how I discovered her secret, and how I intended to notify him as soon as I found out. I then gave him a folder with all of the screenshots in it. He went through everything and then simply gazed at his coffee in quiet for a minute or two. He then responded, first thanking me for bringing this information to him and for doing the right thing. He said that if he had been in my shoes, he would have done the same thing. Then he told me how he felt his wife was cheating on him, but she lied to him, telling him that nothing was wrong. Then for the next 10 minutes, he interrogated me about the affair, such as the dates we went on, that she never did with him, but did it often with me, the discussions we had, and so on. I told him the whole truth. He was angry at the conclusion of this, but he didn't hit me or anything. Instead, he thanked me again for informing him and told me I'm a nice guy. Then he remarked that, although he appreciated my informing him, he advised me not to approach him again for obvious reasons. I completely understood and was okay with it. As he stood up to depart, I inquired as to what he intended to do. He said that he would divorce her, and that the screenshots would be useful, since their prenuptial agreement allegedly has an adultery provision. She cheated on him at the early stages of their relationship. I was overjoyed to hear this, wished him success, and we left ways. I bought him a cup of coffee, so that you have it. Fortunately, I escaped unscathed. There were no injuries, wounds, or anything else. I removed the cheating girl's phone number and erased all traces of this from my phone. I'm pleased at what I accomplished, and I hope the unfaithful girl gets severe punishment. Story 2. Wife cheated on me for second time. We have 4 small kids, don't know what to do. We have been married for 11 years, we are in early 30s. I discovered she had cheated on me with her colleague 4 years earlier, and it had been going on for a few months. I felt like we were checked out and going through the motions at that time in our relationship, but I was still distraught when I found out and didn't know what to do. I sobbed for a month at the prospect of not seeing my children every day. I grew up in a shattered home and lived with my mother, and it was awful to be caught in the middle of it all. As a result, I didn't really want it for them. She first disputed everything, and I rode the truth trickle train for a few days as I uncovered more proof. She was terrible at hiding her traces. There was some kissing and touching, but she vowed they would never have. So we reunited and went through the motions, marriage therapy, going back to church. She left her job, moving places, and we really began to turn the corner. I believed I was going to have a success story. That's all there is to it. Incident #2. It's been a difficult 6 months in our connection with COVID and other things. Nothing out of the ordinary, just a little squabbling here and there. Nothing like the warning indications of the first time it occurred. For the first time since the last event, she was able to find work in January. I felt like I could trust her, and she had shown a lot of contrition in recent years. But then I saw a red sign a few weeks ago when she wanted to go out with her coworker's girlfriend, and she was vague about the circumstances, and then she was gone for like 6 hours. When I asked her about it, she made me feel like a jerk for even believing she was doing anything. Then, yesterday night, another red flag appeared when she went shopping with her mother and children, but didn't hear anything back all night. So I called her about midnight, but there was no response, and she had switched off her location services. Finally, at 1 a.m., I received a phone call informing me that she had fallen asleep at her mother's house and was on her way home with my girls. At this point, I'm dubious and will start questioning her when she comes home. She hands me her phone, and I discover nothing. Everything checks up except for her location services, which she attributes to her phone acting strangely. So I go to bed, but I can't get rid of the sensation. So I start digging further into phone records, and eventually I get my hands on deleted text she failed to remove from her computer, and it smacked hard. Not only that, but I was going to brush it under the rug as paranoia. But she's supposedly been chatting to this 18-year-old lad from work for the last month or so. She went to supper with him and another female that night. Then yesterday night she had her mom babysit the kids while she met with this guy alone at a home he was sitting for. I approached her this morning, and she disputed everything until I gave her portions of the truth, at which point she began to corroborate them. I have no clear proof that anything physical occurred like the previous time, and it seems to be emotional infidelity. She maintains nothing occurred physically, and she was becoming emotionally attached. So now I'm at home, she's sleeping on the sofa, and I'm at a loss for what to do. She doesn't want to go and is kind of waiting for me to decide whether or not I want a divorce. Yes, it's all on me. Worst of all, my 9-year-old overheard and informed me that he does not want me to divorce her. Thank you for your time. Edit. Worst of all, we recently returned from a weekend trip, celebrated our 11th anniversary on Monday, and have been organizing details for a vacation in May. If that wasn't the first time, I was a little taken aback. She said that she screwed up, that she is mentally ill, and that she needs assistance.